Close to $48 million has been spent on campaigns for statewide ballot initiatives so far, including a campaign featuring John Elway. Energy companies have heavily contributed to the Raise the Bar campaign, addressing Colorado's election and constitutional amendment process. Eric, we had the chance to see debates on all these different issues right here in our studio. Now that we're seeing these campaigns come into the home stretch and seeing John Elway involved, does he sway the Amendment 71 campaign?
He doesn't hurt. He's a better testimonial than most conventional politicians. The problem with Amendment 71 in a lot of eyes is, the whole campaign in favor of it, and I've been on record as talking about the flaws of Amendment 71 since after we did that debate, but it's an establishment campaign. It's all the establishment types in the state trying to push Amendment 71. All the insiders, if you will, in the ultimate outsider year. Well, John Elway, yes, he's an insider, but he's an insider in a completely different universe. So his presence doesn't hurt. Back to Patty's comment, I'm just going backwards a tiny bit. I'm finding one of the things I'm really going to pay attention to next Tuesday night, I think the most interesting piece of this election, is whether ticket splitting comes back. Ticket splitting 20, 30 years ago, when a lot of us were young, and we won't talk about Natasha's age, was the name of the game. It was the norm in Colorado, it was the norm throughout this country. As our political system has polarized, as the parties have polarized, ticket splitting has been totally going downhill. It's been on the wane. Will ticket splitting make a reappearance here in Colorado and throughout the country? Particularly if we're electing a President Hillary Clinton, will there be votes to try to balance her power by keeping Republicans in control of one or even two branches of Congress? That's interesting. On the ballot issues, I think to the extent we're in for a late night, we'll see if we're in for a late night. It's not going to be the U.S. Senate race. You can call that at 1 minute after 7. And I know there's headlines out there about polls closing. I'm not buying that. You'll call that race early. It might be the congressional, one or two of these congressional races, but I think it's going to be the ballot issues that are of most interest.
Natasha, we're all political junkies here, so I get the fact that we know that the oil and gas folks are putting a lot of money into Amendment 71, but it's pretty public out there. You don't have to dig too far to see that. So I guess I'm surprised we're not hearing more from the anti-fractivists who, or I guess it'd be the fractivists, who would be really restrained of doing a lot with the Constitution if this does pass. Are you surprised?
No, I think maybe they came late to the game on this one, perhaps not as quite as organized as they would have liked in retrospect to battle it. But I think that with all of these issues, voters care about who the money is behind them to an extent, but it doesn't ultimately direct their vote. If it did, we'd probably have tougher campaign finance laws.
Good point.
And to that extent, I do think it's interesting, though, the John Elway type of endorsements and pulling people like that in. Now, 5280 picked John Elway as one of the most powerful people, in fact, the most powerful person in the state a few years ago, exactly because of this situation. His pull with the Broncos is huge, yes, but he also has a huge pull with the general population, just with his general popularity. So now that he is coming into this politically, I think we could see more of a political future for John, but I also think that we can see people taking note of this and finding other people like him to become key players in these conversations moving forward.
Patty, does Elway get another fourth quarter win here?
I'm not sure. 71, people have the feeling that it is business, that it's the power insiders pushing it. And I don't think John Elway touting it helps them that perception any. So that could be one of the surprises of this election season. There isn't anyone like John Elway. Blinky the clown's gone. Who else is going to be out there touting amendments? It is, when you talk about ticket splitting, this is such a complicated ballot. You really have to think a lot about so many of these measures. And I've had more people asking me questions. They really care. They're really trying to figure it out. I think Colorado's voters are going to spend more time on this ballot than any other ballot for a long time.
Craig, it's an historic ballot. It's huge. It's got a lot of different races. Wrap it up for us.
Well, I really like and respect John Elway, but I think this might have been cooked up on one of the holes at Cherry Hills. They have so much money, these oil and gas guys, that they put on those commercials with former Attorney General and Secretary of the Interior, Gail Norton, saying, look, we thought we were going to get a ballot initiative, and we have all this leftover money, and so they decided instead of making those commercials, try to make it more difficult when the fractivists come after them. And it's a smart move, and it's a tough one to decide since I do respect Elway, and I think he's smart, and maybe he's got it right. But on 107 and 108 on the primaries, I say pay to play. Isn't that the Clinton philosophy? As an independent voter, if I'm paying for the election, I want to participate. And on 106, I'm voting for that. And Matt Larson, who is an attorney and a proponent, will be on my show tomorrow. He's convinced me, and I think he'll convince you.